I didn't strive for success. I strived to do something artistically important.
I think every single life changing is like hot take.
Loveless.
Nah, there's loveless haters.
There's no
There's loveless haters, bro. Like, okay, are we recording?
Well, it's on, but like we haven't, because I can cut it.
Because I remember putting Loveless on for Corazon, and everyone in Corazon was like, "This is boring as fuck. This is stupid as fuck. Why would anyone like this? This is like the most boring record ever."
They got filtered onto.
No, like that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you guys listen to like 70s Miles Davis. Like, how is this filtering you? Like,
y'all like bitches brew.
like, it's like we created the same album. Don't tell me you're getting filtered by this shit.
Dog, y'all like bitches brew and y'all getting mad about Loveless. It's got like 2 songs that are.
No, like slow. Imagine liking Godspeed is a masterpiece, but Loveless is mid as fuck.
How do you go through Godspeed and not go through Loveless? I was thinking about this. There's a shoegaze album I love.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Destiny XL. Have you heard of that?
Destiny XL.
It's it has this thing where it has some of those beautiful shoegaze melodies I've heard, but then it's followed by 3 tracks of ambient fluff, and that's like a common issue with shoegaze.
Yeah,
and I'm tired of it.
I would rather shoegaze is not supposed to be ambient.
I would rather have a 20-minute EP of those really fucking good songs, maybe like 1 or 2 ambient fluff songs.
Like, okay, for me, the magic of shoegaze, the entire point of shoegaze, was, was the fact that like, okay, we can do soft, distorted, heavy, and beautiful all at the same time.
Yeah.
Why would you take out the heavy? Now it's just ambient music. Yeah, no, duh. You can make this soft and beautiful.
Now I fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna count down to 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back. We just finished "Machine Girl" by Wolf Girl, or "Wolf Girl" by Machine Girl.
Wolf Girl by Machine Girl.
Wolf Girl by Machine Girl, and we are gonna tackle my album. So today I've brought First Utterance by Comus. And I found this album a long time ago. I was going down Rate Your Music rabbit holes. I found this genre called freak folk. I was like, what the fuck is freak folk? And then I click because Rate Your Music can show you like the top albums of the genre. And I find Comus, First Utterance, got a really freaky album cover. Look it up on Spotify. It does not exist on Spotify.
Yeah.
Look it up on YouTube. Click it. And I just hear like goblin music, just like trolls in a fucking forest. The freakiest, weirdest stuff. Lewis, what was your impression of Comus?
I texted Nick and I was like, "This is lore accurate gnome music. Like this is like gnomes, but not like cute Disney gnomes. This is like the ones in German fairy tales that eat kids type of gnomes.
Yeah, the true like Grimm Brothers fairy tales.
Yeah.
Like they actually like harvest your children's organs and make potions out of them.
But while saying that, it's not a metal album. It's not a heavy album. It's not depressing. It's a little bit gnarly at times, but I think it's gorgeous. I think it's beautiful in that same way of something like kind of dark, kind of ancient, kind of like of the wilderness.
Yes. It really captures that mythological fairy tale like weird vibe. You know that vibe that like old ancient stories have where they're very like the prose is really weird but it's symbolic of something, like how Epic of Gilgamesh has like weird prose but it's supposed to be symbolic of stuff.
There is that. There's like what is it, Canterbury Tales, stuff right? Like that. Or I recently read a book called Vathek by William Beckford. And at times it felt like that. Although for Vathek it's Islamic Gothic horror. And sure, I know that doesn't sound like what we're describing right now. But in that same way where you're saying it's like that old English, like semi-poetic, is this to be taken literally?
Yeah, very symbolic.
Yeah.
Kind of like very metaphysical in the air. I wanted to bring that up because this album is inspired by one of those kind of stories. What do you think? What do you think this album's about? Because I had my headcanon when I was like 16 finding this album.
So I wasn't too sure outside of just like gnome music and because but like in all aspects of what they would care about their forests or about their society or about their place in the world, and in that sense of like they're seeing a bigger picture than just politics. It's just like the planet, the forest, life itself, and I don't know. It's big the way mushrooms is big.
Yeah,
it's got you thinking in like big picture, but like intimately.
It's kind of, it reminds me of Lord of the Rings, kind of.
Right.
Like Silmarillion kind of feeling.
Yeah, because like Lord of the Rings is exactly like that. It's very, very big picture, but like it's the smallest main characters, super personable main characters.
Yeah.
Like
or like how Greek myth is, in a way, where it's very dramatic about the gods and their things and whatnot.
Yeah, well,
the quellings
in both of those cases, and like this one, it's even though it's dark, it's still idealized. In
a way,
there's still like a good guy, bad guy dynamic that like that goes with how the world works. And it's not this like moral gray area.
Yeah, let's go on. What do you think this album was inspired by?
I was thinking a lot of Renaissance, like folk tales.
Yeah.
Like Canterbury is a perfect example, but like the Decanomicon, so stuff like that. And a whole lot of what do you call it? All types of European
fairy tales.
No.
Wives' tales.
Cryptoids.
Cryptoids? Oh yeah, like the ones you see in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like it just goes really well with that sort of dark fantasy aesthetic.
Yeah, very dark fantasy. So I bring that up because I want to talk about. I actually found a lot on this album, surprisingly, because I've thought this band only has one album. Well, they have two. Let's not talk about the second one.
It's a one album that got released in the 70s, right? And then they disappeared.
And then 40 years later, they made Out of the Coma recently, which is actually a pretty good reunion album. Okay. Because typically reunion.
So we are going to talk about it.
I'm just gonna say if you like this album and you want a little more, Out of the Coma is actually kind of good.
Like it's not the worst thing ever.
Like it's like other reunion albums are like, I'll try.
Oh my god, tell me about it.
We should make a tier list of best and worst.
No, dude, we'd be here all day just putting shit in worse.
Like it's okay, you didn't need to do it.
It's like, can you not?
Yeah.
No, okay, so because like it's a really weird album from the 70s. That only had that one production. There wasn't no notable people in the band.
Nope.
Just like leaving or entering, and there no notable producers, and it didn't really go on to influence a whole lot of notable stuff.
It barely
so like
sold.
The fact that like there's even information, the fact that it's on streaming
now it is
now
it's fine. It's got a love now. They originally did the 10,000 original pressings, which those original 10,000 albums are very expensive.
Oh, I can imagine.
Very expensive because it's got a huge cult following now, and that was it. They never repressed it. It never sold more than that. It kind of has a Velvet Underground kind of story to it, where that was it.
But the Velvet Underground is notable. Why? Because they influenced a whole lot of punk music almost immediately afterwards.
There's like the saying where the Velvet Underground only sold 10,000 records, but everybody who bought one later on became musicians, and all of them made a band.
If I wanted to be mean and funny, I'd say like, well, yeah, because they listened to Velvet Underground, Nico, and went, man, I can do that.
Well, shit. I mean, they made that album with like $20.
Yeah. They're like, shit, I can make an album,
Andy
bro.
Warhol was like, I want an album. And Lou Reed's like, all right, give me a studio. And he's like, best I can do is $20. Here you go.
Best I can do is $20 and a singer-songwriter that's willing to pay for her songs.
And here's the album cover. It's got a sticker.
An album cover. Let's see. I got a banana here.
And they did it.
And they did it.
So, all right. So this album was really inspired by the first song written for it was Drip Drip, and it was actually inspired by horror movies.
Okay.
Horror movies. He, the main writer, Roger Wooden, who's the main singer, the male singer, he listened to horror movies and he made a song kind of based off of a murderer, a psychopathic killer. That's why Drip Drip. But he is also big friends with the violinist Colin Pearson.
Okay.
And he wanted to, they were like kind of playing with each other, jamming together. And he was like, I want to make the song about a psychopathic killer, but I also want to make it a song that's super awesome for a violinist. Because he was like, he just wanted to like,
okay.
A lot of these songs were birthed out of jams.
Yeah.
And he just kind of wanted to make something awesome for his friend so that he can fucking kill it on the violin, which by the way, the violin on this album.
The violin on his album is crazy.
Like this is master level violin work. And all of these people are like 18 to 20 going to college.
Wow.
It was birthed, it has a folk vibe.
It's got a jammy vibe.
A folk jammy vibe. And it came out because this is a group of art students going to a college in Kent, I believe, Kent, England.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a rural kind of town. So they all came from like a more folky tradition. But it's all art students. And in fact, the cover was made by Roger Wood, and it's from Ballpoint Pen, and he wrote it. And he said he wanted to do what he thought was the primal scream of the cover. Have you seen the whole cover?
No.
Including the back?
No.
It's got like the guy like famished, but if you open the back, it's his whole like body, and it's like famished. It's like, it's all black too. It's like, oh, freaky, man.
And he wanted it to be like super gnarly, like super like...
Yeah, super primal and just like grotesque.
Okay.
This album is very dark, now that we're gonna get into it. So
yeah.
From Drip Drip, they're at art school, and they eventually start assembling the whole band of all these other art students, which I don't know, they find an amazing female vocalist, an amazing bongo player. I love how this just happens. Like
it just happens, bro.
They just find incredibly
god tier jammers,
18 to 20-year-old art students who just happen to be super fucking good at guitar.
Is this what I have to do?
Yeah, be lucky. Yeah, be lucky.
Be lucky.
Yeah, and from there, one of the friends of the Roger Wooden recommends him. He hears the song Drip Drip, and he recommends him to read a short. It's called a Mask. Have you heard of Mask? It's like a short, it's like a novella. It's like a...
By who?
By a Mask by John Milton, the guy who wrote Paradise Lost.
Okay.
And called Comus. And this is a story, when you read it, it is about two brothers and a sister go into the woods. And the sister is kidnapped by a psychopathic like hermit in the woods who is obsessed with Comus, Comus is sort of the assistant to Dionysus in the Greek myth.
Okay.
He's described as Dionysus's cupbearer. So he helps Dionysus do, if you know Dionysus, he's like the Greek god of partying and wine. Yeah. So he helps Dionysus do all the crazy stuff. He's a little freak. He's a little freaky. But this murderer is obsessed with Comus's like tail and all of the little, what you call additives that are put onto the Greek myth. For example, in Comus, in ancient Greece, when they would celebrate Comus, you know how the villagers would do festivals to certain gods. When they did a festival of Comus, the men and the women would swap clothes, and who knows what ensues. Like, it's freaky.
It's freaky.
And in the story of John Milton, he kidnaps her. It's kind of crazy. This was written like 1640 or whatever.
Right. And
it's about like a murderer kidnapping this woman and like holding her up in a dungeon.
Okay.
Essentially. And for 1650s, dude, this sounds like this is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Nah, I totally believe it, bro.
Like,
I feel like the Middle Ages were full of like crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like a horror story, essentially.
Yeah.
An old horror story.
Well, hold it. So the ending is not good.
No, she does escape in the real Comus. But if you really listen to this album, there's like, that's why you hear lyrics like "My arms, your hearse," which if you know Opeth, the metal band.
Okay.
Opeth has an album, "My arms, your hearse," because they were like inspired by that. That lyric is so, you know what a hearse is, right?
No.
A hearse is another word for like a coffin.
Oh.
My arms, your hearse. You're where you die.
Okay.
And
that's badass.
From there, Roger Wooden was like, well, let's make like a story of this character, of this like murderer in the woods. And he makes Song the Comus, which is like a theme song to him.
Okay.
But it's also like really touching to Comus, the Greek god, which is why there's lyrics of like partying and wine and like.
Well, yes, and I also think that really it captures Comus really well because Dionysus, well, most people attribute him to like the god of wine, the god of festivities, is much more the god of intoxication in general. The feeling of intoxication.
The feeling of letting go, really. Of like letting yourself go and be like a primal kind of being. Of
just following desire, passion, instinct. And I know like you're a really big like Nietzsche fan.
Yeah, we're getting into it.
yeah, we're getting into it. And do you think that those aspects get captured well in this album? The Dionysian, like how Nietzsche understands it?
I think it's like Dionysus gone bad, where it's like this person's instinct is to kill, is to capture. He loves the hunt. He loves the chase. And that's why like the first song, Diana, is supposed to be, the full name is In Pursuit of Diana. If you have like, the full album, you'll see it there. In Pursuit of Diana.
Yeah.
It's about him spotting this woman, Diana, in the woods. And like, that's why it has this vibe of like, he's chasing her and the fucking bongo solo is, oh my God, insane. And it's like, it's just freaky. But I think it kind of captures that like, that Dionysian spirit, but in like a dark, twisted way, where what fulfills him, what his instinct is to do this sick, twisted murder stuff,
I've seen that captured in some aspects of Dionysus in other aspects of art. Like when you talk about Dionysus under the name Pan, you get the word panic, because apparently like Pan would also be the god of the intoxication through like violent act,
like adrenaline in a way, like
it's like the intoxication of being a hunter. And I feel that on this record for sure. It's weird, it's bizarre, it's very provocative. That's the number one word I'd describe this album,
and that's why it bombed. That's why when it came out, the record label had no idea what to do with it. And they didn't know how to sell it. They didn't know what genre to put it in, because genres are a construction of marketing.
And this is, what year is this?
This is 71, 72.
Okay. So, and there was there like a British folk scene like at the time?
Yeah, there was British folk. A lot of people describe this band as like the Incredible String Band if they were pagans.
Yeah.
It's like Donovan if Donovan wanted to kill people. He was a serial killer. Like,
so it's just like cursed.
It's evil. Cursed. It's evil, Incredible String Band.
Yeah.
So and it's like, I've also heard it's Fairport Convention if they all were hopped up on PCP trying to kill people on the street.
Yeah. And Fairport is already like kind of like on the witchy side of things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those folk bands were there, but they just didn't want to go to folk, because there's Pentacle. There's Pentacle. Pentacle and Fairport both have lyrics that talk about witchcraft and the occult. And this is a time and place where like bands like Black Sabbath are popping up, Yeah,
in fact, I was bringing that. Everybody hated this album. It bombed, except for the metal fans. Like Dio.
Okay.
Dio loved this album.
That makes perfect sense to me.
The members of Black Sabbath loved this album.
Yeah.
Opeth loved this album. Metal took this album and they loved it.
Yeah.
Because,
and this
it works. Yeah.
This could be the origins of like folk metal, which I was always like really confused on, like, where the fuck does folk metal come from?
Maybe.
Because you got Zeppelin, sure, right? But like Zeppelin doesn't really have that blend of super dark folk.
Yeah.
With metal. They have metal. They have proto metal songs, and they got folk songs.
But they don't make them kiss.
Like they're, and I know someone's gonna bring up like what's the one on 4? There's like a section on Going to California. Like,
I know.
It gets kind of dark. Well, I'm like, that's sure.
That's
but Going to California is still a love song about a girl from California,
There's
bro.
no love songs in this.
Like, yeah.
Unless you think his love for murder is a love song.
Like, and like Kashmir is maybe, but like yeah, that's really it. So listening to Comus, I was like,
Oh, this is where this is it.
And
This is it.
And I'm both surprised and not surprised that it there wasn't a whole lot of clones of this.
I mean, this is hard to replicate, don't you think?
No, but the idea of mixing like dark elements with folk instrumentation.
Yeah.
Like it's always got to be dark elements with super distorted loud guitars.
I will, when we bring up the album recommendations, I have one that I found. But we'll do that later. We'll do that later. It comes from that one's an independent agricultural revolution. You'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, so the reason why Roger Wooden has like Diana, Song of the Comus, like all these songs are kind of connected is because he wanted the album to have a mythology feel to it. He wanted it to feel like the album itself was one mythological tale.
So is it a concept album?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say so. But it has like some offs. Like the Herald, I feel like is not related to the album's theme.
It's kind of the Herald is haunting.
The Herald is beautiful. I think the Herald is like the equivalent of just setting the scene of an English forest that's magical.
There's a very particular version of Macbeth made by the director Roman Polanski.
Yeah.
That I really enjoy because it's super dark. It's super dark and super historically accurate. And I watched that film, and there's only been 2 albums that I can say have replicated the feeling that I get when watching the witch scenes. Actually, two songs in particular.
2 songs.
Which is Herald by Comus and Moonchild by King Gizzard. No, not King Gizzard. King Crimson.
King Crimson.
Yeah. So yeah, no, there's nothing like that song.
I guess
I fucking love that song.
From that, I actually wanted to bring, what is a herald?
What is a herald?
It's not a hermit. What is a herald?
It's someone that announces things.
Oh yeah.
So you saying that setting the scene? I'm like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. So I guess we'll bring up King Crimson. We could talk about, a lot of people today describe this album as progressive folk. What do you think is like making that? Is it just because it's really out there folk, or is it? I feel like there's a lot of prog.
There's a lot
of song
of prog
structures in the writing.
Well, first of all, how long is the Herald?
12 minutes.
If that's not progressive folk, I don't know what is.
So actually, a lot of the songs in this album are like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and they have like a lot of improvisation. A lot of there's so many parts that don't sound like the previous part. Like as in, well, obviously it progresses, right?
Yeah.
But in the sense that it's constantly changing up the rhythms.
Yeah.
Of whatever you're listening to, and it sounds really jammy because of that. It sounds like it's like growing out.
Yeah, I really feel like the song structures are where you kind of can connect it to like King Crimson.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were just listening to Larks earlier, and as we were listening to Larks, I'm like, wait a minute. Like what's the second song of the B side, or the first song of the B side, Larks 2? The continuation of Larks.
Okay, so hold on. Let me actually get this.
So yeah, we got to examine.
Let's get this out. Easy Money.
No.
Exiles.
I'm thinking of
this one.
The Larks Tongue and Aspis Part 2.
Okay, yeah. That's funny you say it, because like I think of Book of Saturday, which is the softest song on here.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't have the aggression of Larks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but that shifting mood that you get from the song structure.
Yeah,
that's what I was like. That's the progressive of this album.
And then along with that, I would nominate Jethro Tull as being like really on the same wavelength. Yeah. Because you listen, this is 1972, 1970. Jethro Tull releases Aqualung, and I'm telling you right now, the vocals of the main dude are really similar to how Aqualung is sung, and it's the same thing of trying to combine fantasy elements and a little grotesque elements and a little dark elements all into one.
Yeah.
I don't think Jethro Tull goes as hard as Comus.
No one does, honestly.
And both in musical experimentation and in like how dark do we want to make this?
Yeah.
I feel like they still play it kind of safe. With like we still want to pack out arenas.
Yeah, no, like Comus just did not care.
No, Comus like sounds like it's made by witches, dude.
Do
like,
you know something that's crazy about this?
What?
From all the interviews they said the recording process of this album was terrible. Halfway through the recording process, their original record label dropped them, and then they got a new record label, which they got a producer who worked on, what's his name? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, Mungo Jerry.
Okay.
They got a pop producer. And the pop producer walked in, saw no drum set, and was like, "What am I doing?" And
what is this?
What is this?
Yeah.
And they said it was terrible. And they also they're like 18 to 20 artists. They have no idea how to use recording equipment and whatnot. And they actually have said that y'all should have seen the live version of these songs. And their biggest regret was that they didn't just make it a live album. They said the recordings actually don't capture how crazy the live songs were.
Oh, I could totally imagine it.
So,
because even then with the recordings, like I can see some level like holding back, and that's what happens with studio recordings.
Some of the elements of the recording are live. The backing vocals are live.
Yeah.
But then they had like overlaying stuff that they don't really know how to do, and it makes me sad because if I can go back in time, just tell them make a live album.
Make a live album.
Just make it live, dude. Just do that.
Just fuck it. Do it live.
But so let's go into what do you think influences Comus? I have a whole list here.
Okay, so as we talked, original fairy tales, Renaissance stories.
I'm talking musically.
Musically. Okay, I'm not sure if they're aware of Jethro Tull. There's a lot of similarities that I found between the two, but
Jethro Tull is not one of them.
Okay, Fairport.
No.
Pentacle.
No.
String band?
Yes.
Hold up. There was a French band. I wish I wrote this down. Fuck. Right. This is the problem of having a live conversation. I don't have any notes. He's the one with the printer.
I got the printer, dog.
And I'm not gonna pull out my phone in the podcast.
It's all right.
I'll post it in a. There's a French string band. It's like it's more experimental. It's slightly.
I know what you're talking about.
It's slightly krautrock inspired.
I've seen on Rate Your Music, and I've been wanting to listen to it, but it's under prog folk and Rate Your Music.
Yeah. So there's that record which I think, and also I think German folk music and Celtic folk music.
So from what I found out, there's not a lot of folk influences. For Roger Wood, the singer, it's Velvet Underground is a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of those 10,000.
This is the greatest thing ever.
This is the greatest thing ever. I can do this right now.
Okay.
Incredible string band for him. For the violinist, we have Stravinsky.
That makes sense.
Stravinsky, like the Rite of Spring. And I don't know how to pronounce this other orchestrator, but I'm sure you know it. Messiaen? Here, right there, that guy. Messiaen?
Yeah, I think from what I understand, he's a composer from like Bach era.
Oh, okay.
He's that's not Romantic era. That's pre-classical. Baroque. He's a Baroque composer. So that makes perfect sense. There's actually a lot of elements that I would categorize as Baroque on this record in terms of like the arrangements.
Yeah.
Because you're still not it sounds like classical, but it's slightly more exotic and old timey, and like that's Baroque.
The flutes, the wind instruments,
really exactly
hit that classical kind of sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the guitarists, I picked these three guys out because these guys are the three main writers for the whole thing. Although a lot of these were birthed out of jams, but these are the guys who wrote like pen to papers, a lot of the music.
Yeah.
For the guitarists, it's Donovan and Captain Beefheart.
Captain Beefheart makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So this is what happens if I'm getting this straight. They listen to experimental American music and went, holy shit, we gotta do this with our traditional music.
Yeah.
Okay, that's super cool. I still think Stravinsky falls into that category, just like you were saying with the Velvet Underground, where like not a whole lot of fans, but every single fan is like Stravinsky.
Yeah.
And just like Aphex Twin, like I said earlier, Stravinsky is one of those guys that like will inspire a bunch of people that don't want to sound anything like him.
Yeah,
because he's like, damn, well, if he does it like that, honestly, I can do my shit.
Yeah, and for some deep cuts, yesterday we found out that the John Milton story, Comus, has an orchestra like version of it, a musical version of it.
Yeah.
And we found it because I was like, is there a connection here? Because that's how crazy we go. And when we're listening to it, it sounds like literally Stravinsky.
It sounds Stravinsky, but like annoyingly so. Like it sounds like a parody of Stravinsky.
like someone just listened to Stravinsky and their mind was blown, and they started playing pen and paper.
Yeah, they're just like, let's do random Stravinsky-isms here.
So yeah. So why don't you go into like why? Because I showed this to Lewis, and he loves this album.
I
so
adore this fucking album.
What is about it that's just killing you?
For me, it's like the perfect blend of like it's intricate but jammy.
Yeah,
and it makes perfect sense you bring Captain Beefheart because Captain Beefheart is also on that same level of like every time I listen to Captain Beefheart, I know it's a jam, but there's so many intricate elements going into it that I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like this isn't like guys that want to play some boring, like we've heard this before, jam. Like these are old guys trying to experiment all at the same time.
Yeah.
And okay, you get that, right? But Captain Beefheart is kind of goofy, you know? It's kind of bluesy. I think it's cool as fuck. I still think it's like life-changing music. But like, then you have the really dark, occult feel of King Crimson, which is a favorite of mine as well.
Yeah.
And you also have this like high fantasy sort of feel,
like in the Herald,
the
Prisoner and stuff like that.
That's at times hauntingly beautiful. The Herald, and what's the very last song?
The Bidden.
No. All the colors.
Oh, all the colors. Oh, that's the extended version.
Oh, I'm listening to the extended version.
I think you should.
No, the extended version is fire.
But technically, Bidden is the last song, or is it the Prisoner? It's one of the two.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So like they just no wonder the record label didn't know what the fuck to do with it.
They didn't know what to do. Well, when I first found this, it was only on YouTube. They released this on Spotify, and it has all the Colors of Darkness and all those extra songs. So
I think are bangers.
Which is like good because I will take any more of Comus.
But if you think about it, is the Bidden having the last one, it just ends in fucking noise. It's just last track is 2 minutes of screaming.
I always imagine in my head the story of like this murderer kidnapping this woman. There's the bite, which is where he like does something really bad to her, and then there's the Bidden of her trying to escape, and she's like running through the woods like bleeding, and then that's why it ends like that.
Which goes to show even more so. I was like, there's no way these guys ever thought it was going to sell. And I admire that bravery.
From what I get from the interviews, they didn't care.
They didn't give a fuck. That's fine. That's way better. That's how you get like really, really good creative, non-accessible music.
Yeah, extremely unique. Like there will never be another Comus.
No, and I could study Comus all fucking day and try to get a band together, and there's no way I can shit this one out.
It's like from the machination of my Roger Wooden said that he wrote Song of the Comus fully on an acid trip. He wrote it one afternoon on the whole full tab of acid, and he just made Song of the Comus.
Yeah. And that sort of so all of those elements, the jamminess, the dark vibes, the old school feel, and this this sort of written on the spot, very.
It's they kind of like because they wrote Drip Drip and then the rest kind of came.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's very fresh. It feels fresh. Feels like they're like not overly rehearsed. Very spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
That's the word. That's what I really admire from this album. And for me, I'm telling you guys right now, this shit was crazy to listen to the first time around.
Yeah.
I think I listened to the first 3 songs like.
I love showing people Diana. Just like, hey, you want to hear like Goblins on Force? Boop, dun 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 dun.
Oh, and a little small detail that I go fucking crazy for is when people have string instruments and they utilize the microtonal elements of those string instruments and then arrange the vocals to match that as well.
Yeah.
So Diana does Diane.
Yeah.
With the guitar with the violin, and that shit drives me fucking nuts.
It's insane.
Because it just feels like, oh.
It has like a mushroom feel to it, right?
Yeah, and the fact that there's no digital effects on this at all, and it's still trippy as fuck.
Yeah,
the entire way through. I was blown away.
I mean, that's like Pink Floyd.
Quite honestly blown away.
That is some Pink Floyd kind of shit that they're doing in 72.
This is my favorite first time listen of this show so far.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be really hard to beat this one. I felt like this was very made for me sort of album.
Dude, when I first heard this album, I would listen on YouTube, and like, you know, you can't turn off your phone when you're listening to something on YouTube. So I would go to the gym with the phone on. And just like try not to like pause or something.
Yeah.
Like put it there because it was so good that I have to keep listening to it.
But which one gives you the harder PR?
The what?
Which one gives you the harder PR? First Utterance or Wolf Girl?
I think Wolf Girl still.
It's a
First Utterance makes me run better.
Wolf Girl is a cybernetic augmentation.
I feel like I look like Cyborg from Teen Titans when I'm listening to Wolf Girl.
I feel like I'm doing like
turn into like Bane or something.
Yeah, like some shit. No, I turned into Wolf Girl.
Yeah.
I feel pretty and beastly.
Yeah. What does that mean? Comus makes me feel like a murderer, chasing people in the woods.
If we're to compare these two albums, I feel like this one is much more like a bad shroom trip, like Comus, and the other one is a bad acid trip.
Yeah. Oh, that is right. Right. We went into this episode. We wanted to make like a freaky episode.
Yeah.
Of like weird stuff.
And it turns out that we're like, I love this album so much.
Comus is really good.
It wasn't even the thing of like, you know, first time I listened to it, I didn't understand, and then like I listened to it and I see the beauty in it. No, none of that bullshit. It's just like first time Comus. Holy fuck! Like,
yeah. Yes. So I want to go into album recommendations.
Okay.
It was weird. It was weird to make anything for it. I have a bunch of like different ones for different vibes, right?
Okay.
So if you like prog folk, but you want it to be weird but not dark, I love Minas by Milton Nascimento, which is a Brazilian musician.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that one?
Isn't it just Minas?
Minas.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Milton Nascimento.
Yeah.
But it's a Brazilian album. It's prog folk. But if you want this, but without the murder, like just suck out the fucking like occult dark.
Is it still dark?
It has weird parts.
Okay.
It has parts like reminiscent of like the Herald, where it's like it's long and ambient and folky.
Yeah.
And it's very beautiful. But you take out like the occult aspects of it.
Yeah.
Then I have, if you like just prog folk and you like the technical, impressive aspect of it, Joanna Newsom, her entire discography.
Yeah. Joanna Newsom for sure.
So I referenced this earlier about weird, dark, occult folk.
Yeah.
That there's an independent agricultural revolution. You've heard this album, Exuma, Obey a Man.
Okay.
If you want more like...
wait, hold on. You think that's a dark album?
Yes. What? It's about like witchcraft. It's about like Santeria. Like
I think it's much more...
What's the Haitian one? The Haitian like witchcraft. I forgot what it's called. Is it just
there's voodoo?
Voodoo. It's like a voodoo album. But it's Bahamian.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe because like I always how do I put this? Like I always think of tropical as happier.
Not this one.
Right.
Obea, I believe. Not an expert on this.
Wait, not Exuma self-titled.
Well, the album is called Exuma Obea Man, like fully.
Obea
by Exuma.
Yeah.
And Obea is like a demon. It's a word for a demon or like a dark spirit.
Okay.
In like a Caribbean culture. And that album is like fucking like, but it's like more tribal. That one's more like has like rhythmic and like.
It has rhythmic. It has a lot of like chanting and call and response.
Yeah.
I really like Exuma. I think Exuma, just like that, is like, just like how I was saying, there's no album that sounds like Exuma.
No, that one comes like from some ancestral spirits.
Yeah.
Like, it's very unique.
But I just think of tropical as like happy, and like forest is like where the fucked up shit happens.
Maybe we'll do Exuma on this podcast one day, because I think that is kind of the biggest outlier of this is not a happy album. It has some like it has some jammy kind of like reggae-esque songs on it,
Yeah, it's hard. It's like it's distinctly Caribbean, but to put it into like any one of the musical traditions of the Caribbean is like, eh.
I listened to the song Mama Loin, Papa Loin on that album.
Yeah.
After you listen to Comus, and then you're gonna know my recommendation was right.
I just think you should listen to record. Just to get
Yeah.
Any other recommendations?
And then if you like the freaky weird folk, but want a little bit more psychedelicness, Sung Tongs by Animal Collective.
Yes, if you want to up the trippiness,
but keep the freaky folkiness.
Well, I also I and Sung Chong's is like very it's very intimate.
Yeah.
While I think Exuma is much more like communal.
Yeah.
And then Comus is just like in your face. Oh, and if I can add 2 more there.
Go ahead.
Like I said, Aqualung by Jethro Tull. I think Jethro Tull is a great band. I sometimes don't understand the hate that band gets. So I might do an episode on them at some point. And this album,
Larks. If you like the prog.
If you like what the violin is doing,
yes,
you have to listen to
Larks.
If you want to feel like you're being told like dark stories by an evil jester, wizard, sorcerer thing, listen to
King
Court. Listen to Court of the Crimson King. And yeah, because Moonchild is very similar vibe. Were these guys inspired by King Crimson at all?
No, I didn't hear any of them talk about King
Crimson.
This is a little before. Well, In the Court's out by this point.
The Court is out by 69, by 68 actually.
But no, I didn't hear anything. Maybe they were, but like I'm only going off of interviews.
Right, and I don't imagine that these art students were like really deep on what's going on in the metal scene or the prog scene, especially from what we gathered from the interviews.
Many
like
of them came from folk backgrounds of.
It's like folk backgrounds, punk backgrounds, like very like
some blues in there too. The main singer said he was in a blues band.
But that's just like what you do when you're English and in the 60s.
And you're like in the rural England, you just like want to play music.
Yeah,
just
it's like
you're in a blues band.
In the same way as like when you're out here in South Florida, like I used to be in an emo band. Yeah, dude, like all of us.
Yeah, that's like high school for a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love this album. You have anything else on this album?
Listen to it, please.
And there's really nothing like it.
There's really nothing like it.
Like I'm stretching for these recommendations, but
he really is.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, hold up. Trees. Did you get to listen to Trees?
What's Trees?
Trees. It's kind of it's kind of like a middle point, between Fairport and this album.
Okay.
It's got like some of the more looser jams. It's like if Fairport had more jams. Fairport had more jams and slightly darker sounding stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Fairport's a recommendation too.
Oh, Fairport. Yeah.
Like they're later albums too. They're more folkier ones.
They're more folky ones. Although if you listen to Fairport self-titled, you'll definitely see the witchy shit that I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, but that one's more like a psychedelic pop album.
Yeah, it feels like Jefferson Airplane, but way better.
It is actually better Jefferson Airplane.
Better Jefferson Airplane.
I don't give a fuck what you think.
No, I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, but the Herald. I mean, Comus, crazy band. You want to go into the tier list?
Yeah, we can do the tier list.
All right, so because this is live, I can't like. I'll put pictures up.
There's a picture actually here that Nick is editing into my hands.
That I'm forced to edit. And so let's start with Machine Girl. Where we put Machine Girl?
Machine Girl. I think this is a great album.
I agree. I put out great. It does what it does very well.
It does what it does very well. I wouldn't put it. While I think for a lot of niche genres, it became like an instant classic. It's hard to call it like a household classic. It didn't really change the game for everyone.
I think it has the potential to age into one.
I think so too.
If we
depending on what the legacy of what these electronic producers that are influenced by Wolf Girl is. Yeah. And but like okay, like I wouldn't put Wolf Girl in classic, but I would put like Money Store, classic Money Store. Now to change the thing for Wolf Girl, but also change the game for something like Jesus, and then something like JPEG, and then on top of that, like Bowie, like
Bowie, yeah, because Bowie loves Death Grips.
Bowie did love Death Grips.
Fun fact about Comus, they actually toured with Bowie. They were a backing band. What do you call it? Like the opener for Bowie.
Real recognizes real.
During the Space Oddity era of Bowie, like the really early Bowie.
Dude, imagine.
Can you imagine hearing drip at a Bowie show?
At a Bowie show.
At a ground control to like pre-Ziggy
Bowie. Like Bowie that still is like, I love the Rolling Stones. I love the Beatles.
Yeah.
But real recognizes real.
Real recognizes real. But yeah, great for Machine Girl.
Great.
May age one day to a classic.
I was gonna put it in good, and then I listened to it on the way here. I'm like, this is a banging fucking right.
Nah,
like,
I was gonna put it in great.
Yeah,
that was my mind. It's in great. So Comus, where are you putting Comus?
Life changing.
Yeah,
life changing for me.
This might be a controversial take.
I don't give a
because some people
man.
are terrified of this album that I've showed it to them. They're like, what is this? They like do not like it.
I think it's life changing because of that. It's life changing in the sense of like if someone were to. Like for me, I like weird music, but like I think if I were to describe, like if you never listened to Comus, and I described you this album, I think you would be hard pressed to try it out. You'd be like, I don't really see when I would listen to that.
Because it's hard to describe. It's like okay, give it to me. Give me the pitch.
It's okay. It's goblin music.
That's what goblin I tell music. Everybody. I tell everybody it's goblin music.
It's goblin music that's folky but medieval but evil but also like
King Crimson.
No, because there's no drums at all. And also all of the songs are like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're danceable, but they're also haunting. Like they're probably written by a serial killer.
Give it a shot.
And they're really inspired by John Milton somehow.
Yeah.
But not Paradise Lost.
But
not Paradise
mythology.
One of his lesser known works they've never heard of before. But it's life changing because I really don't think it's even changed the way I listen to other folk music. Like,
I think it's like stepped up folk for me. I used to not really like folk that much at all. And then I feel like Comus, when I was young, listening to this, like showed me, oh my God, that's what you could do with just acoustic instruments.
Yeah.
Like from there on, I went to go listen to like Incredible String Band, to Joanna Newsom, to a bunch of folk stuff. Really finding out like, whoa, folk could do this.
Yeah, and there's no effects on this. There's no tape effects on this at all. It's still one of the most psychedelic albums I've ever heard. And this is coming from me. Like I specialize in psychedelia, dude. I can tell you that you would be hard pressed to find an album that's as trippy as this, at least in the folk tradition. You know,
I love how the album itself is kind of mythological.
Yeah,
because it has 10,000 pressings. They're hard to find.
Did they ever do like Did they even do like a repressing now?
Oh, they did. Well, now they did.
Okay.
In this time, that repressing is probably what the Spotify version is of the.
Do you know why there was a revival in the first place? I didn't get
there was a cult following.
Okay.
Of people who really liked it, and they were just trying to get the band back together. And OPEF really was the one to like. We want them. They wanted to do a show in like Sweden, or where OPEF's from, like Sweden or Norway or something like that.
I don't know.
They wanted to do a show, and OPEF specifically said, "We'll do the show if you can get Comus to come together and play and open for us," because they loved Comus. And that's kind of what got all the band members of Comus to like talk again and be like, oh, let's just start, playing live again.
Yeah,
because they're a live band. That is what they are,
mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of brought them together. And then you get out of the coma and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I could real quickly talk about their second album.
Okay, go for it.
It's terrible. It's not good. It's because
not Out of a Coma.
No, there's one. I don't even know what it's called.
I thought there was are you telling me there's a Comus 2?
There's a Comus 2. Don't listen to it. In fact, I've heard Roger Wood had said that album was a complete regret in his life because the violinist left and the guitarist left and those were the other 2 writers. So it's just Roger Wood, the singer, and they just kind of they're just I don't know.
It didn't have the sauce,
flat,
I guess.
Man. It just didn't have the sauce, and that's kind of why this album's here on Life Changing, because it's magical.
Like where the fuck did it come from? Where did it go? Who fucking knows? Because like, there's no one that like you can like point to, be like, this was the brainchild of this person, or this was brought together by the influence of this one particular work of art. It's just like, we're just a couple art students, really bored, making a 10 out of 10 records, and we're just not gonna do it again.
So that's how you do it, kids. Just be lucky.
Be
right place, right time.
Don't give a fuck. You want to make a good record. If there's anything to take away from today's episode, the key to making a good record is not caring.
Yeah.
Being like, in fact, going a bit beyond, being like, I dare you to sell this. Go for it. I dare you to put this on the radio.
Actually, both of our albums today kind of have that.
That like, yeah, because these guys just went into it being like, put this on a record. Yeah, put this on the radio. Go for it.
There you go. Both. I mean, the first one is like that, an example of that in modern times where they just throw it on the internet.
Yeah.
But hearing it in Comus is funny because they gave it to the record label, and the record label had no idea how to sell them.
Yeah, they actually like fucked up they fucked over the record label.
Yeah, like,
they somehow got a second record. That's crazy. That's wild.
Man, it was easier back then.
It was so easy.
There's less competition.
You just get signed, and things just work for you, bro.
It was all this history we do for the podcast just taught me it was so much easier to blow up in the 60s and 70s, as long as you're really good.
Yeah.
So comments and life changing.
Comments and life changing.
If you disagree, put it in the comments.
If you disagree, Comus is gonna come after you.
He's gonna find you. One day you're alone in the woods.
You better not be going.
You can hear the drip drip.
Better be watching for some gnome-sized peoples.
Yeah, you see those eyes, those 2 white lights in the woods.
Yeah, that red cap in the woods. You better go the other way.
What's here? Dun 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 dun. Your whisperings, Comus will find you. But go ahead and put it in the comments if you disagree.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's the end of this episode.
Thanks for watching.
We hope we can do more of these.
Hopefully. Oh my god, I have to be stuck in the computer again.
Oh no.
Fuck.
Wait, it's coming. No, the machine overlords are coming.
Oh dude, no.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, no.